Salty talk alert. Listener discretion is advised. We use profanity in this podcast, so if that language bothers you or anybody you're in the vehicle with or on a bike with, don't listen to it. Salty talk alert.
UFC and Digital Media present UFC Unfiltered with Jim Norton and Matt Serra, powered by Digital Media. Find your voice. And now, your hosts, Jim Norton and Matt Serra.
Hi, it's Jim Norton.
And Matt Serra.
That was a really awful start.
Fucking man.
No, it's good. Here's what's great.
Keep going with it.
We actually said to him, we're already, this is only podcast number 2, and already we're turning into bossy dicks. We're like, can we hear the intro? Like, we're going to get pumped.
And I'm like, where's my coffee? There's no coffee here?
Yeah, we're already barking out demands. I came in with fruit as I'm trying to eat healthier. And don't buy strawberries outside. Why am my strawberries had hepatitis? I ate one and I threw the rest out. Don't buy fruit from a guy. No. Yeah. If you're standing by a garbage can, don't buy fruit from him.
Dude, I'm always packing some protein bars and cashews. I'm trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm trying to do the right thing lately. I got a problem with the food sometimes. That's my Achilles heel.
Well, you guys, man, you train and then all of a sudden you eat a certain way and you learn how to cut weight. Yeah,
no, it's true. But when I was always fighting, when I was competing, if I had, like, say, 2 fights a year, 2 to 3 months training camps, when I'm done training, I could blow up a little bit because I know I'm going to lose it all. But now when you don't have another fight coming up, you got to make it more of a lifestyle.
Yeah,
do the right thing.
It's harder to motivate yourself. It's like a raging bull.
Yeah, man. I mean, yes. When we went to go eat after the last show, and I tried to do the right thing, and I got a filet burger. And so I'm thinking it's a burger, but it's really just a steak.
Yeah.
I'm such an idiot. So I'm like, what kind of bread does it come with? He said it doesn't come with bread. So I had him. I don't know if you saw. Like, I always make sandwiches out of things, and I got like that flatbread, and I made a sandwich of it. And did you even notice? Was that embarrassing?
I did. I was concentrating on the fact that I felt like we were burned a lot.
We shouldn't have ate outside.
How hot was that? It was fucking awful.
Man. I think my head sunburned.
Yeah.
Sitting outside was a bad idea.
It was a terrible idea. So that's all I could concentrate on. Not the high of our first show, not the camaraderie, but the fact that I was in physical misery.
Let's talk. Let me tell you, what about the love we got after the first show on Twitter and whatnot? I was like, listen, there's always going to be the jerk-offs that don't like you no matter what you do. But I was blown away by the positive feedback.
Couldn't believe it. I expected some people to like it. And there's going to be people that don't think we're good, and they're not being dicks.
Fuck them. No, okay.
I agree emotionally, but there are people who are just going to go, hey, man, I don't like this podcast, and that's fine. But I was surprised by the overwhelming amount of positive stuff, because usually when you start something, that's when the most horrible comments come out. So I appreciate everybody weighing in and going to iTunes and reviewing it and subscribing. I even subscribe. It's the only podcast I subscribe to.
Oh, shit,
is this one.
I want to do that today. I feel like I'm not supporting us.
Yeah, we should definitely both subscribe to it. It's helpful. And Dana was great.
Oh, man. And listen, I'm excited about today because we got big things coming up today. This is huge for a second podcast.
CM Punk is calling in, and we also have The Rock.
And I'm confused about what I should call. I asked you before, but The Rock. What do I call Mr. Rock? The Rock? Dwayne? What do I
call him? I would say Dwayne.
I don't want to start with Dwayne because I feel like I that's too personal.
What's his name?
What the fuck am I?
Wait, you gonna call him the
fucking Mr. Rock? Hello, Mr. Rock.
Call him Rock or Dwayne.
Rock or Dwayne. Maybe I'll ask him. What should I call you?
Yeah, exactly. What would you prefer?
But anyway, when Dana told us last night that he's going to be coming in, he told me around 8 o'clock. I was at my school, just got done teaching my advanced no-gi class, a bunch of animals. And he told me at 8 o'clock, I looked it up. I went to Fandango, and at 10 o'clock I went and I saw his new movie, Central Intelligence.
You saw that?
With him and Kevin Hart. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. It was fucking good, man.
I would have seen it.
I enjoyed it.
I had Dana said, "Hey, if you want to see the movie, it'd be cool before you interview him." Yeah. But I had a live event. First, I had to bomb at a benefit. And,
what do you mean? You had to do a
man.
What kind of benefit?
It was for my friend. She knows somebody who's got cancer, so the benefits were going to her.
Cancer.
Yeah, medical benefits.
Yeah. All right, so you went to this, and what kind of place was it?
It was a comedy club downstairs, small crowd. And it was my technical error. to open up with the Charlie Sheen hunk. That was probably not the smartest one to open with, and wow.
With the what? With the
seen.
what? The Charlie Sheen hunk?
Yeah, I do a whole bit on Charlie Sheen.
Oh, yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah, they didn't.
They didn't?
No, they were not happy.
You want to hear it?
No.
Well, so wait. So when it goes south, I mean, how does that? What do you do? Do you have any escape routes, or do you acknowledge that it's going south?
It depends on why it's going south. If it's going south because it's their fault, I say I am going to really flamethrow this event, and we're all going to need a shower before we walk out of here. But I knew it was my fault.
Taking everybody down with us.
Yes.
You know what's funny? Our coffee just got here, and they're doing like a Rochambeau, like a woo woo woo. Which one is which? Is that what you guys were just doing?
That he walked in, I've never seen. It was kind of funny. He was trying to like figure out where to put the. I've never seen anybody panic so much with two.
That's great.
It's like there's two options. You have a 50% shot at getting it right. But yeah, so I just started bombing, and I kind of knew it was my fault. I opened with the wrong material. Yeah. So then you get back into the other stuff, and you're like, well, let's see if this brings them around. And it did bring them around eventually, but I wasn't angry at them because I knew I fucked up.
How long did you have to go up for?
I did about 15 minutes, and I'd say the last 3 were a home run. First 12 was a bit of a struggle. It was a lot of this. Oh, like tentative laugh. If that wasn't a benefit, they would have booed me.
Oh man,
it's a terrible feeling.
Oh, that's got to be that's got to be terrifying.
But you learn how to deal with it. It's like, you know, I mean, again, you understand what it is. You understand, okay, this is just not working, and the penalty for a fighter is you're losing a fighter. You're being physically beaten up. The penalty for me is I can just take a deep breath. Yeah. All right, and take another shot of the joke. It's much easier,
and you don't get mentally scarred when you're bombing in front of. It's just like you. Not that you're not. You go into it. You're used to it. You're like, thanks, I'm a fucking shitty comedian. No, not that you're used to it, but every comedian had to bomb
a lot.
Times.
Oh, dude, hundreds of times. I bombed hundreds. Yeah. It's over the 26 years I'm doing stand-up. You guys hear that noise, right? They're doing some work on the building. That's not our lack of professionalism. I don't know. It's a giant rumbling.
You guys picking that shit up?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's like a queef. It's a giant queef in the building. So if you hear fucking queef.
Oh man, how uncomfortable was that after you had, like, you know, back in the day, I'm talking about my single days.
Sure, of course.
Of course, my wife doesn't queef.
Absolutely.
But back in the days when you're done having sex or something, and all of a sudden the girl doesn't know what to say. You said it's not a fart. It's I swear it came from my pussy. I mean, right or wrong, they don't know what to say. Right? One time it was what was that? The Heartbreak Kid. Not a great movie, but with fucking Ben Stiller. And she goes into the bathroom after sex. You ever see the movie?
No.
They showed her. It's not the best, but there's some funny parts. Ben Stiller marries this girl real quick. It's a quick wedding, and it starts out like she looks so special, but she ends up being a real fucking whack job. So after they have sex, she goes into the bathroom, and he hears a fucking. And then all of a sudden, I just fucking drenched my microphone. And all of a sudden, he's sitting there with his eyes open, like fucking, and she goes, "That wasn't a fart. It was, I just queefed big time." It was fucking hysterical. that reason alone you should watch the movie for that reason alone.
Well, it happens a lot of times when you're done. Like after sex, a lot of times it's almost like the vagina. For me, I always take it like a pussy is sighing at my bad performance. But it is what it is. You take it for what it's worth. It's one of those things.
Oh shit, I'm lightheaded.
It's one of those things. By the way, back to I wrote down Eric B and Rakim. They responded to somebody, something with Dana. So apparently, Eric B and Rakim, like one of those guys, if not both of them, listened to the podcast.
Get the fuck out! Listen to this.
I hope so.
Oh man,
listen,
I'm an old school guy, man. That's amazing.
Are you ever meeting people who are fans of you? That you're surprised know who you are?
Every time, man.
Like who have you met that you're like, oh fuck me, I didn't think.
I don't want to say someone's a fan of mine and make.
We're not a fan, but they enjoyed your work.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, if I'm like at a UFC event or something, and then fucking, oh shit, man, what do we got a call?
Yes. By the way, I've never seen anybody panic more than you just panicked at that phone.
Our producers.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, CM.
Hey, how are you, Jim?
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man?
What's up, bro? Matt Serra's here, too. How are you?
Mr. Serra, I'm lovely. How are you?
Oh, call me Matt. Mr. Serra's my father's name. So I'm so happy you calling in.
Where are you right now?
I am standing outside Rufus Sport Gym because it's a dungeon and I get no service down in the basement.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Is that in Chicago? Where is that?
No, that's Milwaukee.
Oh, okay. So how's the training going?
Really well. I got cleared by my doctor yesterday morning for everything, and I've been cheating a little bit on that rule anyway for like the past month. But it's nice to be healthy. I'm sure Matt understands that. Like,
Oh man, let me tell you, the hardest thing is I mean getting to the fight in one piece is usually the toughest goal when it comes down to getting ready for one of these fights. Is there any date on when? I know you just got cleared and you're back to training. Do we know?
Yeah, well, I've been laying low media-wise because, I got nothing to say. I got no date. I got nothing to say, and, you can't really talk a whole bunch of shit and until you've stepped in there, which I haven't, and I understand all that.
Sure.
So, I've just been rehabbing my back and doing what I can, striking and jiu-jitsu-wise, and now, the instant I got cleared, I got on the horn with Dana, and we nailed everything out. So I will be debuting September 10th in Cleveland.
Oh, this is exciting! September 10th,
awesome.
Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm super excited. For obviously a myriad of reasons. I'm happy to have a date. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I can proudly say, I'm healthy, I'm strong again. And to touch on that again, how you don't know how hurt you are, and you just keep grinding, and you keep training, and you keep training until you can't. And that was the situation I was in. And I hit a brick wall with my back and found out I've been walking around with a herniated disc for probably years, the doctor assumed. So it's a whole new world for me now. I'm healthy, and it's nice to be able to do things that I probably haven't really been able to do fully, in a couple of years.
And who are you fighting?
Mickey Gall.
Okay, that's
Yes.
who we assumed it was.
Yeah, on Dana White looking for a fight.
You were there for that, right?
Yes, I was. I was there for that. I was there for his UFC debut versus. I'll call Mike Jackson, because every time I say Michael Jackson, I chuckle. I'm such a child. But no.
Well, then you wouldn't be chuckling if you said Michael Jackson.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, Mickey Gall. Yeah, I mean, what is your thoughts on your opponent? I mean, let me tell you, a very well-rounded kid, a game fighter. He the nerves did not get to him when he got into that octagon. I mean, that was very exciting. What's your thoughts on him? He's definitely, a quality guy, but at this UFC, you're not going to expect anything different.
Right. I think there's a lot of suspect people out there with their opinions, thinking that they're going to throw a can at me or whatever, and they really haven't. Body weight, height, weight, reach, everything. I think we're almost identical. Experience goes to him. He's fought in the Octagon and other places, and I haven't. He's a nice guy. I talked to him very briefly at his debut. And I felt bad that I had this setback, and he's been kind of just sitting on the sidelines waiting. But here we are now. I think he's a tough kid. But also his fights have been pretty short, so you don't really get to see all of his skills. But I kind of look at not so much the guy, but who they train with, and he trains at a great camp in New Jersey, the Miller Brothers. I got nothing respect for those guys. So, that's the whole reason I did this is to challenge myself. So it's going to be a challenge, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, your motivation, because there's guys, for fighting, guys have different things that motivate them, whether it's money, fame, and stuff like that, and you achieve that. I mean, there's also, as being a former fighter, there's something else that money can't buy, and that's that feeling, that's that when you're talking about testing yourself. Is that what this is all about? Just you go in there and the ultimate testing ground?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's probably something seriously wrong with me.
Definitely, all of us.
Everyone's trying to figure out, why I would want to do this, and I'm just, I'm a guy who gets bored easily, and I have goals, and there's things in life that I enjoy, and it's not about the destination; it's about the journey. You know what I mean? So this is I've already met people that are going to be lifelong friends. I've already learned more about martial arts and myself as a whole because of this, and this is just the beginning. So to me, that's pretty exciting. I try to live, I think Cowboy Cerrone says it. Like, there's a guy you look up to. You know what I mean? Like, that guy will fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. 2 weeks notice, 2 days notice, 2 months notice. Doesn't matter. You know, and he says live a life worth living. You know what I mean? I don't want to wake up someday and be like, man, I could have done this, or I wish I did this. You know, and I look at everything in my life as a learning experience, and this is going to be no different.
Was there a point where you thought this fight wasn't going to happen? Because it's been talked about for a long time, and then it went away, and then people start wondering, all right, is this window closing? Is this never going to actually happen? Did you ever start to wonder, like, man, I'm never gonna fight in the UFC?
The worry of that definitely crept into my head, but, you know, I try to stay positive, and I don't think you can kind of dwell on the negative. You know, like the back surgery thing is a fucking bum out. Like, anytime you ever have any kind of a surgery, you're an athlete. I mean, it fucking sucks, you know. And then there's the months of rehab where, you know, I couldn't do anything. I was riding the bike, you know, 3 different times a day for 45 minutes, you know, just because it was really all I could do, and that's pretty depressing as somebody who's pretty active, you know. But I never thought that it was over. I never thought that I wasn't going to make it to a fight. I never thought I wasn't going to fight. You know, I stayed positive.
A lot of fighters have different opinions about you being in the UFC, and personally, coming from me, I respect it. Like I just said before, guys have different motivations for getting in the octagon, for fighting in that cage. And the fact that you want to test yourself, I'll tell you right now, and from hearing you talk right now, you're not going to regret it, no matter what happens. I mean, if you win, phenomenal. If you go out there and it does not go your way, man, when you talk about the journey compared to the destination and whatnot, that really is what it's about. And you will definitely, no matter what goes down, you're going to have a memory for when you're in that rocking chair telling your grandkids and whatnot. And that's something that, you know, like we said before, like I said before, money can't buy. So you got my respect. I respect that you want. I know what it's like in there, and you know, anybody that gets in it gets my respect.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, once I'm there, you know, that'll mean the world to me. But you know, I like you said, I got to get there.
Exactly.
And that's my challenge right now. You know,
have you gotten any negative blowback from like UFC guys and who think like, well, why is he doing this?
See, the funny thing about, I think, the world we live in now with social media and stuff like that is I can go on Twitter or whatever, and I can just get fucking depressed. You know what I mean? Millions of people tweeting all kinds of negative, you know, dopey shit at me with their ignorant, misinformed opinions. I mean, Jim, you know, you probably get that, you know, as much as I do. But
dude, if it wasn't for hateful things, I'd have 4 followers.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I'm right there with you.
Like, wow, you have 2.5 something million followers. I'm like, yeah, but they all hate me.
They like to weigh in, don't they?
Yeah. You can't listen to that. You know what I mean? Like, I try to stay away from that, and I've really stayed away from it for the past month or so. It's just, you can get in a bad place in your own head about that, you know, and I would much rather listen to, you know, my wife, my friends, my trainers, my team, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm not the best at this. Yeah, no shit. You know, I know that. I want to fucking give it a shot. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As far as actual fighters in the UFC, I've seen stuff on Twitter. Some guys have said stuff and then have been nice to my face. Some guys have been, you know, great. And I tend to find the most successful fighters, such as yourself, Matt. Like, you know.
You could have just said yourself. We both knew it was Matt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they don't. They're the ones that are like, fuck it, yeah, go for it. Good for you, kid. You know, do your thing. But I also understand. I understand both points of view. I really do. I understand some of these guys that you know are making what they probably should make, and they see a guy like me kind of come in and quasi get the red carpet rolled out for me. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a fucking fist fight inside of a cage.
A little jealous of the attention you get.
And if I lose, you know, they get the laugh at me on Twitter, and you know, and if I win, fuck yeah, good for me.
Yeah, but you know what? If you win, then they're gonna say, "Oh, the guy sucked." You're never gonna win in that sense.
Well, yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
If I beat Mickey sucks. If Mickey beats me, ha ha, LOL. You know, go back to WWE. Like, yeah, and that's why you can't invest any of your time in that.
Let me tell you, I feel it's like the hardest time ever being a public figure whether it's a fighter, entertainer, whatever it is, because of everybody's got a voice, and a lot of those voices are just really fucking hateful and negative, and they're upset with their own lives and they attack you. I remember before my fight with St. Pierre, the first fight, people were just really just laughing at it. And I remember I took a glimpse. I'm like, let me see what they're saying on the forums. And there's like, pictures of the fight with St. Pierre and Serra. I go, what the fuck? We didn't fight yet. So I looked at the picture, and it was a dead body and like, what is that thing? The body bag. It has my name on it, getting put into an ambulance. And then I keep reading. It's like the only way Serra could win if a fucking light fixture falls and lands on St. Pierre. I got off that thing so fast. I'm like, you bunch of fucks. It's brutal, but you could use it to fuel you too, though,
Well, see, but you it's poison. You know what I mean?
100%.
You sit there and you read that stuff and you drink enough fucking poison, you're gonna get sick.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta balance it. I haven't surrounded myself with a bunch of guys who are like, wow, you're great. Everything you fucking do is great. Trust me, these guys are fucking killers and they're hard on me. You know what I mean? They're beating me up and they're doing what they need to do to make me better, and I appreciate that,
Well, you were making money in the WWE, and the fact that you are now willing to do this, people should respect that, because it's not like you're desperate for money. You walked away from something, and you're volunteering to get into a really hard sport. Like, I don't see how anybody can not respect that.
Well, some people are jealous. Jealousy is a hell of a thing, but I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me.
Well, I'll tell you, you surrounded yourself with you're in the great hands. I mean, I love Duke and that whole team over there. I mean, he's phenomenal. I know with that guy in your corner, man, I mean, you're going in there with a great team. So you definitely have that going for you. So.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, it helps. It's only 90 minutes from Chicago, my hometown, so it's nice that, one day a week I can go home, go to the beach, chill out.
How has the weight stuff been for you? Because in WWE, you don't have to worry as much about the weight, and now you have it's like an exact science. Is that something that you've kind of stayed close to where you have to be, or how do you plan on cutting it if you have to?
Yeah, I'm not super concerned about that. I'm in great shape right now, and I'm hovering around like 190. So if I got to cut to 170, I'll be fine. And I got the time. September 10th it is right around the corner, but time wise, I got the time. I never just eat whole cakes anymore. I used to. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do that in Cleveland after the fight. We'll eat a whole cake together if you guys are going to be there.
Oh, man.
Do you ever question yourself as to why you're doing this? Was there ever a point where you were like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, was there ever, like, maybe when you had the surgery, or were you just sitting there going, oh, my God, this was a terrible mistake?
No, fuck no. If you think about it, I'm glad I was doing this, because I probably would still be walking around with a herniated disc if I didn't, have the UFC doctors fucking, spot it and take care of it, I jokingly say that sometimes, but it's never serious. I'll be like, oh man, I worked out 5 times today. Why am I fucking doing this? I just want to eat a pizza, But that's really it. There's never anything like I get high kicked and I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? This is stupid. I'm one of those guys that, like I said earlier, there's probably something wrong with me, and I enjoy doing this, and this is my environment, and I'm thriving in it.
Yep. Do we know who the main event is yet?
Yes, Stipe and
Overeem.
Oh my God,
man.
Right.
Shit, we got to get to that, Jimmy. We got to go do a podcast from there. We got to get to that fight.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to go and watch that fight.
I think they'll do that for us now.
No, I don't know about that. Matt and I are going out to 200, and Fabricio Ben Rothwell. That's the fight. Oh, it's not Stipe. It's so wait, that's not the main event?
No, it is. The Miocic Overeem is the main event, and then that's also on that card.
No, I'm saying, but Ben Rothwell is not the main event.
No.
Okay.
No,
We're having a miscommunication with the Verdum.
Rothwell and
Fabricio Verdum, yeah.
That's interesting too. Oh man, well, it looks like a great card, man, and I'm psyched about your. I'm sure you're super psyched about your debut, but. A lot of people are, man. It's been a long time coming, and I definitely hear you where you're like, man, you're in a tough spot where you're like, yo, I can't really talk about too much shit because I didn't get in there yet. I totally get what you're saying with that, man. Because until you get in there, you feel like you don't want to be, blowing your horn there.
No, absolutely. I can't. What the fuck am I gonna say?
Exactly.
But guys have been nice to you. Sorry, guys have been nice to your face. They've said some stuff, and then when you meet them, they're just pleasant, like you're not going to hear what they say.
Yeah, but I mean, Twitter's a different fucking world. I get it. There's some guys out there that need to do that to I don't know, get ready for their fight or boost up their status or whatever it is, and it doesn't bother me. Everybody I've hung out with and fucking trained with has been a sweetheart. The nicest guys ever. And
you were close with Chael Sonnen, right? So is he helping you at all with this, or are you talking to him at all?
We text kind of infrequently now. I mean, he's busy, new daddy and all that stuff.
Oh, right.
And so I don't know what's going on with him. Like I haven't trained with him, so it'd be something I'd be extremely open to. But no, he's way out on the other side of the earth as far as I'm concerned.
Now, what's the difference between this two? Because again, man, people don't understand that in WWE you're taking very hard hits. And it's a grueling and dangerous sport as well. But what's the mentality difference between going into it with an opponent there and then going into it in the Octagon, where there's definitely a different intent or a harsher intent in what your opponent has?
Well, obviously the in wrestling, you're trying to make it look like you're smashing a guy without actually touching him at all.
Right.
And somebody who is like super super good at that was Bret Hart. He always made it look like he was killing a motherfucker, and he never was. And there's guys that are really really good at that, and then there's guys that aren't so good at that. And so if I'm going into a fight, I got my hands up. If I'm wrestling, I maybe don't have my hands up. There's a chance you might get jabbed in the face, lose a tooth. You don't know what the other guys are going to do sometimes. Some guys are safer than others is all I'm saying. And I've worked my fair share of unsafe guys. And that's not to say that they had the mentality that they were going to go in there and hurt me. Some guys are just clumsy. Fuck, I was a clumsy motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I was never the most super athletic guy, and sometimes I would do shit, and, I'd fucking wind up hurting myself.
Would you guys ever say to each other in the ring, like, what the fuck was that you just did, or would you wait until after?
Oh, yeah, all the time. And the funny thing about it is sometimes you just laugh about it. There's sometimes I would get hit so hard, and the people you wind up actually beating the shit out of, those are the ones you're friends with.
Oh, really?
I mean? Like, if I was wrestling a guy that I didn't like, I would make sure to go out of my way to not fucking stiff the guy at all. Because then there's a problem. Because then he's like, oh, you did that on purpose. If I fucking clock my friend in the face or kick him in the nuts or, step on his hand or something like that, it's just funny. You can laugh about it afterwards.
What was the moment where you said to yourself, like there had to be a moment where you're watching UFC or you're watching MMA and you go, I want to do that. That I want to move from this to that. And what was that moment for you?
I don't know if I can really peg one specific moment. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've always been fascinated with jiu-jitsu. I used to do Kempo karate out in Channahon, Illinois, under a guy named Bob Golden, and we had a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I wish I could remember his name, but I can't. And it was the first time I ever saw Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it was like a fucking magic trick. I'm sure, Matt, you can remember the first time you ever saw it.
100%.
We had Dan Severn come down to train with our black belt because he was getting ready for the super fight against Hoist. So I saw that, and it was always in the back of my head. Like, to me, I was already doing pro wrestling, and that took me in a different direction. You know what I mean? So I obviously I did okay. I did all right in that venture, but once it was over, there was a void. I was like, fuck, I need to do something. And, one day my phone rang and it was Dana Lorenzo, and they would always needle me when I was at the shows. They would always be like, you ever think about getting in there? And I would always say, yeah, all the fucking time. Like, it looks like a blast. And, things kind of fell in order and it just kind of happened. But I don't know if there was ever really one big moment, I used to watch all the Pride shows, like all that shit. So I've always been a big fan.
And that Dan Severn versus Hoist fight, that's back at UFC number 4. That's back in the day. I've been like when you say when you first saw jiu-jitsu, Did you ever watch? I know you were with the Gracie brothers for a while. Did you ever watch those Gracie in action tapes?
Oh yeah, like the VHSs.
Oh yeah, man.
That's Gym Wars.
That's what got me hooked. That's what the Gracie in action too is what got me hooked. 'Cause I used to scrap a lot as a kid, and I used to do Wing Chun Kung Fu with my father. But and you know what? You familiar with Wing Chun?
Yeah.
At all? And you know what? And it looks great. I had a wooden dummy in my garage, and I'd be doing some combat drills with my father, sticky hands, and anytime I got into a street altercation, I'd end up tackling a guy or put his head into my knee and grab it. I mean, I was just a natural grappler, and the wing, it just wouldn't work for me. I'd start with a chain punch, and I'd end up double legging a guy. So that's why when I found these the Gracie in action, I was like, oh my God, you mean with this system, there's no forms or this or that? It's just it's amazing. Oh, hold on. You know what's great when and I got ADD and I got my producer give me a thumbs up like we got to get the fuck out of here. No, listen, that's funny shit. That's okay. I can say that.
No, he's just being encouraging.
Now, is that that's a good thing?
He'll sometimes the producer see him look over and just give a little smile and
he gave a fucking thumbs up, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm looking at the clock. It's 30 minutes. I'm like, we gotta.
It's like when you have no balls and 2 strikes, and you look over at your dad and he gives you the thumbs up, like, oh my son stinks.
You fucked me up, Papa. Anyway,
maybe he misheard you, and he thought you said Wang Chung.
Yeah, Wang Chung. He's chunging it.
Fuck yeah.
Wang Chung. That's good. That's great. But anyway, I'm jiu-jitsu's in my blood, man. I had to get in here early this morning. I had to get a roll in because I fucking love it. But I feel bad, man. I don't want to keep you from practice, dude. I know that fight's coming up.
Yeah, I gotta. I'm not in a fucking hurry. I already worked out once today.
Oh, fucking.
What time do you start in the morning?
Normally like at 11. The gym opens at 10:30.
Is it weird, like when people question your dedication, like they think, he's just doing this for whatever, and not realizing exactly what you, and I'm not talking about fighters, but people who don't really, who don't fight, questioning why you're doing this and not understanding what you really have to put into this to be good at it.
The 12-year-olds on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be amazing if I was just like, fuck it, and didn't train and didn't learn anything and just ate hot dogs on my couch and just didn't make weight, and I'd still get paid. You know what I mean? I'm working hard. I'm taking this very seriously.
Well, as a kid, Matt was talking about rolling and fighting and street altercations. I had none of them. Were you the type of kid that?
Really, you?
I know. That's why I'm funny, because I had a big mouth, but I would quickly joke and get out of it. And I was telling Matt before the show, comedians, the difference between us and fighters is you guys handle things the way we wish we could. Like, I'm only funny because I cannot do what you guys do. So were you a fighter as a kid?
Most of us wish we had your biting humor.
Exactly.
You don't need it. You have a right hook. Believe me. Fuck biting humor.
Cut their wrists with my words like you do, Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like you. I had the biggest mouth. I used to get the shit beat out of me, and I would never stop talking shit. You know what I mean? It's just the way it was. Like, I figured, they're not gonna be able to get me to stop talking. They can blacken my eye, but big fucking deal, that'll go away. And I was more comedian than fighter when I was a kid, for sure.
Oh, so you like that high of getting a laugh? You understand what that's about, and how good that feels.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you controlling an audience is. There's an art to it, and it is very much a drug, for sure. Well,
your mic technique in WWE, I'm always amazed at what great communicators and talkers professional wrestlers are, because first of all, most of that is improv, isn't it? When you're standing there and whoever Vince was interviewing you, you're pretty much improving whatever it is you're saying.
Yeah, I think the good ones, the interviews and the promos people remember, those are improv. Now wrestling is just overscripted to death, and it's almost like they got a chokehold on it. And some guys need to operate that way, and I feel like some people need to let loose and be themselves. You know what I mean? Like, you got a whole room of guys writing for you. They don't know you. They don't know where you're coming from. They don't know your perspective or your character and stuff like that. And if you're out there being disingenuous, saying words that 3 other people wrote, I always felt that the crowd could tell, and then they're gonna pay attention to their phones, or they're gonna shit on the whatever segment you're in. So yeah, I was always a big fan of just kind of doing my own thing.
Did you ever start really falling apart in the middle of one, like you're delivering it and you're like, oh no, and then you're just totally fucking it up? You must have had one where you're like, oh, I stink.
Oh yeah, I wrestled for so long, like even before WWE, that's how you learn. You know what I mean? Like I relish those failures, because that's how you learn. Like, oh shit, I totally screwed up. I let that guy, it's like letting a heckler get the best of you. You know what I mean? Like, crap. Like, I let that guy get the better of me. I can either pack it up and never do this again, or I can learn from that mistake, and the next time somebody heckles me, I can fucking crush them.
I've gotten beaten by a few hecklers in my life. It's humiliating. I remember one time I was doing a gig in Wildwood, New Jersey, and I was new. It was 1992, and this guy was heckling the shit out of me, and he was fucking destroying me. And afterwards, I talked to him. He kept, like, in the middle of my act, he's like, stand up! And the whole crowd laughing at me because I'm short. And he was just like one of those guys who was hammering me. And it turns out he was a dunk clown. Like, that was what he did for a living, was he sat there and heckled people professionally. So I had my asshole ripped out by a dunk clown in front of an audience.
Wow.
It's humiliating.
They all pricks, those dunk clowns.
Oh,
man.
yeah. They're the worst.
Right?
All right, CM. We appreciate it very much, man. And dude, congratulations. I'm happy that you're healthy. And it's September 10th, right?
Yeah, September 10th in Cleveland.
Against Mickey Gall is your UFC debut, and it is actually happening.
It is actually happening. Who fucking knew?
Well, I'm happy, man. I'm happy for you. And anyone that was questioning your intent is just ridiculous to not understand exactly what you were doing to get ready for this fight.
Fuck them. They'll still question it. You know what I mean? We'll just worry about what's in front of me and worry about myself, and everything else will fall into place. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course, man.
You guys ever need me on for anything else? Let me know. I'll be at 200 too, so maybe we can, have a powwow. Yeah,
it'd be nice, man. We'll be out there, so I'd love to see you.
Yeah, thanks so much,
Okay.
Sam. I appreciate it.
No worries, guys. Have a good day.
All right, see you soon, man.
Take care, bro.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Such a good guy.
What a nice dude.
Yeah, but it's funny how people question a guy who's walking away. Not that wrestling's easy, but it's not as tough as MMA. And the fact that a guy's willing to do that and not go like Brock. I mean, fucking Lesnar makes a lot of money in WWE, and he's getting in the ring with Mark Hunt, who fucking hits like a train.
Yeah, I mean, they have to have that thing in them as a fighter, that a thirst that has to be quenched, that you're not going to get it quenched anywhere else, Yeah. But, speaking of thirst.
Oh, my God, what an excellent segue. Because a lot of people say, what do you do with your thirst? Beetroot juice. I happen to like beets. I enjoy them very much, and I think they get a bad rap. Beet Elite can help support healthy circulation, help promote energy, stamina, and extended exercise endurance. Beet Elite is the easiest and most effective way to consume natural dietary nitrates. We've both tried it, and it gives you a nice energy boost. I mean, there really is something to it.
I like to get a roll out early, a roll like jiu-jitsu, before I get my day going. And this morning, before I got on the train, I tried it out. And let me tell you something. I felt good. No upset stomach, no nothing. The taste was good. It wasn't too tangy or anything. It tastes nice.
And you don't crash like coffee.
I'm an espresso guy, but I might just switch totally to Beet Elite.
Well, the thing is that beetroot juice has been causing waves lately in the fitness community. Clinical studies have shown that 2 glasses of beetroot juice per day can increase stamina by 16%, which is pretty amazing because I'm always tired. My sleep is bad, so anything that can help improve stamina for me is important. Now you can harness the power of beets without having to chug beetroot all day long. Obviously, beets are a nutrition goldmine. They're rich in antioxidants, polyphenols, electrolytes, and dietary nitrates. Dietary. They don't help you speak English better, but they really are good. They have dietary nitrates. Dietary. Sometimes I'm in a hurry. I have so much energy that I just rush the words. Nitrates convert to nitric oxide in the body, which anyone who is serious in weight room knows is the key to getting that pump that you're looking for. Go to UFC Beats, B-E-E, not B-E-A, UFCBeats.com. They have a page set up for our listeners to save $20 off their intro pack. 1 canister of the Beet Elite Plus, a box of the Sport Packs, plus free shipping on your order. Try it with your workout, and if you don't feel a difference the first time, they offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. I think you'll be pretty surprised. Visit UFCBeats.com today to check it out, and be sure to let us know what you think. That's UFCBeats.com. And we thank those guys also for having faith in our show and supporting us. So please support the sponsors, because it's nice of them. We're so far an untested show, and they're immediately throwing their support in, which
100%.
Which is nice.
Beet Elite.
This is UFC Unfiltered with Jim Norton and Matt Serra.
All right, the phone is ringing, and we have The Rock calling in. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Atlanta, Georgia, on the set of Fast and Furious.
Oh, wow. You really do not. Do you take any break in between filming? Like, how much time will you actually take off when you're done with one?
Not too much time. Like, I generally need probably about 4 weeks to transition into whatever the next role is. So for example, I went from Baywatch to Fast and Furious. Baywatch, I was about 235, and for Fast and Furious, I needed to come in at probably about 255. So it was kind of challenging in that 4-week window, but I was able to put on a little bit of weight. So generally, the short answer is about 3 to 4 weeks before I go into something else.
Oh, and for you, it's a weight or it's a physical issue. It's not a matter of just wanting to relax a little bit. You got to get yourself physically where you want to be.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of physical. Well, especially with Baywatch and Fast and Furious. So with Baywatch, much of the movie, we're playing lifeguards. It's a big comedy. The shape of a lifeguard, or at least my interpretation of it, was a little bit different. And then coming into Fast and Furious, look, it's a big franchise. I wanted to shake things up and disrupt it a little bit, and I wanted to come in like a beast. So I took a good 4.5 weeks of changing my training around, changing my diet around. But generally, it's a physical thing because I could get my breaks. Because what happens with my family, and we just had a new baby.
Congratulations.
Family travels. Thank you, guys. The family travels with me, so I have my family time. They're with me all the time, so I don't feel like there's anything lacking in terms of family. So I try and make things as balanced as possible in terms of family. So it generally, yes, it becomes a physicality thing.
Hey, Rock, how are you, buddy? It's Matt Serra.
What's up, my man?
Listen, nothing, same old, man. Dana called last night. He told me you were going to be on. I got so excited. It was like 8 o'clock at night. I was at my jiu-jitsu school. I went to Fandango, and I'm like, I was going to see it anyway. I go, let me see Central Intelligence. I love Kevin Hart. I love The Rock. I saw that thing. I got a baby. Thank goodness for my sister-in-law. She came over, watched my 3 kids. Me and my wife, we saw the 10 o'clock show on the Central Intelligence, and let me tell you something, man. We had a blast. And the whole audience, it was sold out. The whole audience was laugh out loud in it. What the fuck is that?
Laugh out louding. That's the perfect way to say it.
What the hell did I just say?
Why, it was wonderful.
I just said we were all LOLing?
No, you were laugh out louding.
We were laugh out louding. But you know what I'm saying. It was such a good movie.
Thank you, man. Look, I appreciate it. I think, you never know if these things are going to work. When you put 2 guys together, you never know if the chemistry is going to click and really feel authentic to people, or if it's just going to feel like a bunch of bullshit. But we got real lucky, man. Look, I love Kevin. He's the real deal, a really good dude. He works his balls off in terms of movies and promoting and everything that he does. And we made a good movie, man. It was a little challenging because we came out in the summer with all these big franchises, and we were this little original comedy. And we hope to work, and we got real lucky, man. So, the audience is loving it. It wound up being a big hit for us, and there was a lot of laugh out louding. Laugh out louding!
They're gonna, let me tell you, we were talking about the Twitter attacks, and I'm gonna get destroyed for that. I mean, somehow we're gonna have to edit that out. But I'll tell you, man, from the audience that I was with, I smell sequel, because you guys had great chemistry, man. And not for nothing, Kevin Hart, not a lot of guys could do what you're doing, because Arnold Schwarzenegger comes to mind with Kindergarten Cop and with what's the other one, Twins, that are classics.
Yeah.
But you're obviously you kick ass with the action stuff. By the way, I love fucking Hercules. I don't know if anybody. See, I love Hercules. I saw it on a fucking plane, and I'm like, how did I not see this in the theater? I know we're not here to talk about that, but I fucking loved it. It brought me back to my Jason and the Argonaut days or something. I loved it.
Yeah,
fucking
we had a lot of fun with that, man, and that was a bitch to make. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, look, it was the crazy diet and the fucking training, and it was a bit. That was a good 6 months of training for that role, and then you had to maintain it. You guys know what it's like. When you have to train and make your weight and do all that shit. And you just had to maintain that for 4.5 months. That was a challenge. But look, well worth it. We made a good movie. Damn. There wasn't a lot of laugh out louding, but there was a lot of.
I'm gonna get tortured.
Hey, you're getting good reviews in this too. Do you pay attention to that? Like, I guess as performers we always look, but you're getting really positive reviews. And is that something that you're like, I don't really care about that, or does it really mean something to you?
No, I do. Look, I care about it, and there's a lot of guys out there, right? And we all know them. Sometimes in the world of entertainment, whether it's on stage doing comedy like you do, Jim, or whatever the case is, you know, a lot of guys and girls don't give a shit. I do. I like to check it. But here's the thing. I think it's really important to, when I read reviews, I've worked hard over the years, because it wasn't always like this when I first started in my career. I've worked hard over the years to separate the fucking noise from the real smart, here's why I was not crazy about the movie, or here's why I loved it. And I think once you settle into that place of separating the bullshit noise from the reviews, you can really pull some good stuff. So yeah, again, you know, we got real fortunate. We got great reviews, and comedies are always the toughest thing to review, because generally they get their ass kicked, because comedy is subjective, and what's funny to me might not be funny to you. But yeah, we got some really good reviews. And interestingly enough, there was a lot of highbrow reviewers out of the East Coast and New York and West Coast too, who felt like this was the best performance of my career, which surprised me. And hey, I'll take it. And it was a cool thing, but I was like, okay. And then that's when I'm like, yeah, you guys know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that, because critics, I've bagged on critics before, but never once has a critic ever said something nice where I'm like, what the fuck do they know? It's only when they're nasty that I say that they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, look, and it's always the loudest that gets heard. It's always when somebody's bitching about something, it draws your attention to it. It draws our attention to it. Like if somebody could say, oh yeah, you know, Jim, I saw your show. I think it's what is Mouthful of Shame, right?
Yeah.
Is that your tour?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, if somebody's like, hey, I loved it, you're like, oh great. But the moment somebody's like, you fucking suck, it's like, what? Who the fuck are you? Like,
no, that's like probably actually half the audience. You know, 5 people show up and 2 like it and 2.5 are indifferent. Hey, were you ever tempted to, like, you know, we just talked to CM Punk and Brock is fighting. Did you ever have that temptation to go into any type of mixed martial arts? Was it ever a thought for you?
I did. I had a thought back in, well, when I was in college, I saw the first UFC that came out where we were playing down at University of Miami, and I loved it then. But at that time, football was my number one priority and trying to make it to the NFL. And then I always felt like wrestling, I could fall back on wrestling because I grew up in the world of wrestling, right? With my family, they were all wrestlers. So when I quietly retired from the WWE in 2004, I felt like I was, so when I quietly retired, I wanted to concentrate on my movie career. There was a time when my movies weren't doing that well. And I had a hard time, like really finding my groove and finding what I felt like the audience really wanted to see from me. So I was making these movies, and to use like a baseball analogy, I was hitting like singles and doubles maybe. And then at that point I was like, man, what the fuck do I do? And I felt like I had achieved everything in wrestling in the WWE that I wanted to achieve. And my last, what we call programs, which was the fight, basically a match, was with Brock. And I felt like, and at that time I was world champion. I dropped him the belt. He became the face of the company. And I was happy to quietly walk away. And in our business, it's what you call just, you know, passing the torch essentially and doing the honors. So there was a time there where I thought, man, I achieved everything I wanted to achieve in WWE. My movie career is floundering a little bit. What do I do? I was relatively still young. I think I was 34. And I thought, oh, well, maybe UFC. Maybe I should do something like that. Then I thought, well, I respect the sport of mixed martial arts so much. I felt like, in my head, I felt like it was still at least a 2-year process for me to even get in the Octagon, let alone the UFC. And I wasn't quite too sure what to do or what kind of people to put around me at that time. So the idea kind of fizzled out, and then I continued to stay on the path of movie making, but still a big fan and love the sport. But at one time I did consider it. And by the way, I couldn't have been happier, by the way, for Brock when he got out of WWE and he started doing MMA. Excited for CM Punk to make his debut too. And look, anybody, by the way, who is successful in one area and then commits to MMA, like I just feel it's the toughest fucking sport in the world. And I always take my hats off to those guys.
Well, Brock, I have so much respect for too, because Brock, again, he had diverticulitis, and then he fights Alistair Overeem, and he gets kicked. I mean, really, he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And he's going back in to fight again. Like, that's a competitive dude who has been there and actually gotten hurt doing it, and says, no, now I want to see what my full potential is when I'm not, you know, the diverticulitis is not affecting me.
Yeah, man. You know, I've known Brock for a long time now. He's a good buddy, and that's a whole other level, I think, of psychology that a lot of people don't understand. And you know, in this right in sports, you guys know this, especially in like UFC and in boxing and in WWE, like the fans can be really polarized, you know, and a lot of fans don't understand, but that's a whole other level of psychology that I really, really admire in the guy. And by the way, it speaks volumes, I think, to who he is as a guy. And, you know, that the former national champion. And then he went on to do what he did in pro wrestling and as well in UFC. So I'm excited to see him come back, man. And especially against Mark Hunt. Especially against him. Can't wait.
Yeah, Mark Hunt, that's a brave one, because there was this thing, and I think Matt had said that Brock didn't love getting hit, which nobody loves getting punched in the face, I'm sure. But to go up against a guy like Mark Hunt, who really, really throws a big punch, I mean, that's a very, very tall order to go back and have to fight him.
Yeah, it is, and it's a lot of balls and a lot of guts, but that's who Brock is, you know. And both these guys just love to fight. When you think about Mark Hunt, you know, and his background, I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it, but I read his book probably a couple of months ago. He actually sent it to a buddy of mine, a common buddy we had. And man, that guy's story and his background and his fucking hardcore background is really, really impressive. So, you know, again, it just adds a whole nother perspective when you see him step into the Octagon.
Oh, man, I didn't even know he had a book.
No, I didn't either.
We'll plug that in.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. You guys should check it out.
Are you going to be at 200?
I'm trying to go, man. I'm trying to go, because it looks like right now we might be shooting on that Saturday, since by the end of the week our shooting just progresses into the middle of the night. And if we're not, I'm going to be right there.
Now, do you prefer comedies or action? What's a harder thing for you to do as in films?
Well, look, I mean, I think the hardest thing to do, period, in movies and in general is comedy and making people laugh. I think it's extremely difficult to do. And especially in movies, right? Because, you know, it requires a rhythm that you go back and forth with your comedy partner. Or if you have more than one person, it requires a lot of like ping pong back and forth and volleying back and forth, and it requires timing. So I love both, but comedy's not an easy thing. But if you strike it right and you make a lot of people laugh, man, on a big global level, it's a really cool thing.
And it's got to be a little, I mean, not intimidating, but you're with a guy like Kevin Hart, who you know is
you might accidentally step on, yeah.
You might step on. First of all, the guy's my height, Jimmy, so stop it. I'm a big fan of him. But, you know, you go with such a comedic genius like that. I mean, the guy's just killing it out there. And during the movie, man, you're getting some of the biggest laughs. I mean, my wife was dying to the point where I'm like, honey, what are you doing? But you know, with the unicorn. I mean, I don't want to give nothing away with the movie, but the scene with the shrink and this, I want to get into it. I want people to see it. But oh man, forget about it. No, it was so good. I told you, a lot of laugh out louding. It was amazing. I really had such a good time.
A lot of laugh out louding. That's a new thing. That's a former fucking welterweight champion is just
it's gonna haunt me forever.
No, but you know, with Kevin, so he's the biggest comedy star on the planet in terms of, you know, the guy's a comedic rock star, and he's really breaking new ground. So what we did when we came into this movie, into Central Intelligence, in essence, I was the funny one, and he was more the straight guy. And look, you know, for a guy like that, who's literally the biggest star in the world, one of the biggest stars, and certainly the biggest comedic star in the world, for him to come into this. And I got to tell you guys, you know, it's a rare thing, I think, with a guy of that magnitude, when somebody's a star like that, who then you're presented with this script that says, okay, somebody else is actually going to be set up for these jokes. You have to serve it and support it. This dude not only embraced it, but pulled me aside on day one, and he was like, look, brother, I got to tell you, I'm so excited for you, for this character. Nobody's ever seen you play this role before, and I'm here for you. Whatever you need from me in terms of, I'll serve you up, and if I feel like something's falling a little flat, boom, I got you. I'm right there. So he was amazing, and I always appreciate that. Because look, he could have easily said, you know what, this is not going to work for me. It doesn't fit my brand. I need to be the funniest one on screen. But I think when you come at it and you check your ego at the door and it just allows for more success. And I think in that you see the chemistry that you saw on screen between us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sorry, Jay.
No, that's okay.
And you know what I really love, and that's what you could tell with the chemistry, and you can see how you guys get along. I love at the end of the movies where. And like with Step Brothers, you saw this, like when you see like the behind the scenes or the blooper reel type thing. Yeah, the outtakes. That's it. Like and you can tell how you guys. It's just you can tell how you guys get along, and I think that picks up. The audience picks up on that. You know, I mean, I was dying at the end of that too. I mean, it was just so. There's so many things I want to say about the movie, Jimmy. You got to see this movie.
I will see it because I know Kevin since he started. Yeah. So I'm really happy for him. You know, he used to open for me for $300 in a college. Now he's doing 2 arenas a night. I'm happy for him.
I'm gonna tell him that. Yeah.
But Kevin is a really like a gut punch funny guy, and I'm not surprised that he's doing as well as he is because he's pretty fearless. I remember when he'd be in the Comedy Cellar. And I would go down, guys like Patrice O'Neill and myself and Keith Robinson and Rich Voss, and we would go down there and then just sit in the front row while he was on and stare at him and try to ruin his set. And he was really unshakable. Like, he's just that kind of a funny guy, and you kind of have to be on that level of successful.
Well, let me ask you this, Jimmy. So in the world of comedy, then, where does a guy like that go? If he is this successful, selling out arenas every night, just did a stadium show in Philadelphia, his hometown, sold that thing out. He's playing O2 Arena in London. He's playing all around the world. What's next for a guy like that in comedy?
A guy like that in comedy will continue. The thing with stand-up is there's always new things happening in your life or current events that you can talk about. So he'll continue creating stand-up. He'll probably do a book. I'm sure Kevin would have a #1 best-selling book when he wants to do that. And he's branching out into, like, he's got his own shoes. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he started a hat collection. I mean, the fucking guy's got he's got his hands in everything. And he's going to probably produce, and I wouldn't be surprised if he directed. So he'll just kind of be peripheral and continue doing stand-up. But Kevin will do whatever he wants, man. That guy is an animal. He just doesn't stop moving.
That's right. He doesn't. Yeah, he's got a real entrepreneur mindset, man. And he was a real pleasure to work with because he is the real deal. And, you know, look, in Hollywood and entertainment, sometimes you get a lot of guys who like to portray to be a certain thing, and then they're that thing just for a limited amount of time. But Kevin, he really puts in the time. Like you said, he's got his hands in everything. And also, I got to tell you, the biggest thing that really impressed me about him was his training. This fucking guy gets after it, man. Like, I love to get up at 4 a.m. and train. Like, that's my thing. And some bitch is up too, man. And by the way, he'll be playing shows, so he'll be done at like 1 or whatever it is at night. And then he's up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, man. Really hitting it hard. So it's really impressive.
You enjoy getting up that early and working out?
What time do you go to bed?
I usually go to bed around 10 or 11. But look, I got to be on set generally around 7 a.m. So the only time I could train is at that 4 o'clock window. So I love getting up at 4. I get up, have some caffeine, do whatever work I got to do in terms of emails, and then I get after it. And then that way it anchors my day, right? So, you know, whatever type of, whether it's training or rolling around on the mats or meditation, whatever it is for people, like that for me, training is the anchor.
Well, congratulations on the movie. It did great opening weekend. People are all saying it. I haven't heard a bad word about this film. Everyone's saying how funny you guys are together. And it's nice to see because I love Kevin and I love you. So I'm happy that you guys are both, you found something together that's working.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, we got lucky. Again, like I was saying, you never know if these things will work, and we got lucky because this one did.
And hopefully we'll see you at 200. It'd be nice to sit down and talk with you. And now, do you have any predictions for 200?
Look, I just want to see a great fight. You know, I got the full card was put in front of me this morning, and that card is just stacked.
It's insane.
Look, when you look down at it, it's like it's the most stacked card that I've ever seen in UFC. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I mean from top to bottom, yeah, it's just amazing. So in terms of predictions, I'm always the same. I have too much respect for these guys because it's not like in wrestling, you know, in pro wrestling and WWE where everything is what we call a work. You can predict, The Rock is going to go over, or Brock Lesnar's going over because of the storylines, and you can predict that way. In terms of this, like, I always feel like everybody's got a punching chance, And I just always want to see a great fight. That's it.
Yeah, I was talking to Matt before. I make the predictions and I make them wrong, so I'm probably better off just taking your stance on it, which is like, look, these guys are doing something I can't do. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Matt? You got any predictions, or do you do that or no?
Oh no, for sure I do that. On who? The Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt?
Well, let's say with Cormier-Jones.
I believe Jones will win again. I do. I think that whatever rust he had on, he worked off in that last fight with Saint. What was his name? Yes, that's the one. In his last fight it went all 5 rounds, but whatever rust was there, and people gave him too much crap on that fight. I think he did well. He won versus a very tough guy, but it's probably better he's fighting DC in this fight than his first fight back. But I feel it might probably be similar to the first one. I think Jones is gonna be victorious. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah.
Do you think? Do you make predictions? What do you think?
He doesn't make them.
Oh, you don't make them?
I don't. No, not really. Again, I have too much respect.
Nah,
I'm not saying that you don't, but you're in it, obviously, and you're former champion, world champion there. And I just feel everyone's got a punching chance. And I always just want to see a great fight between the guys. I'm happy to see Jones back. I think what I love about this fight with these guys is I don't feel like it's a worked promotional thing. I feel like there's real hatred between these guys, and I always enjoy seeing that play out and seeing how calm they can be, but yet at the same time talking about, I'm going to rip your fucking spine out of your fucking body.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What about Hunt and Lesnar?
I'm looking at Mark Hunt versus Brock Lesnar as, again, they both have weapons elsewhere, but that is the nowadays that's the most to like the classic grappler versus striker. Not that Brock can't throw a punch. I mean, he knocked down, I think, Couture with a jab. I mean, the guy's powerful as hell, but he's not going to want to be punching too much with Mark Hunt. But if he gets him down and you have Brock Lesnar on top of you, he's devastating on top. So, Brock's been gone for so long, and Mark Hunt has been laying out some very good grapplers lately. So, I mean, I'm really on the fence with that one, man. Right now,
I mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah. If Mark's able to keep it up, a lot's going to be able to. If that first round, the first minute. It's going to say a lot about that fight, how that's going to go.
I'm predicting Hunt, but not with any disrespect to Brock. It's
Jimmy loves Hunt.
I love Mark Hunt, and I'd rather fight a fucking 747 than Mark Hunt. He is a powerful, scary guy. And now that you said he's from New Zealand, right? Is he from that is where he's from, I believe.
Yeah, he's a Samoan out of New Zealand.
And are they like the Maoris, or are they totally the opposite?
Part of Polynesian descent. Yeah, I used to live in New Zealand too, man, and there's Maoris there in New Zealand. There's Samoans there in New Zealand, but he is, that guy's an animal, a real animal. But if you can, you should check out his book. I think you'll really be. If you were a fan already, I think you're really going to be a fan after that.
Do you ever see Once Were Warriors?
I heard of it.
Yeah, dude, that was amazing. Good. Yeah, and that's the real deal. That's very authentic.
It is. Yeah, it's a great movie.
In many ways.
About New Zealand. Really, really sad, but great film. All right, well, thanks for calling. I don't want to end on a depressing note. Hey, did you ever see that terrible... I'm promoting a great comedy. I'm like, did you ever see that really depressing film? Let's talk about alcoholism.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jim. Great.
Well, congratulations, man. Obviously, the film is being well reviewed. You're making a lot of money, the film, so, I'm sure you guys will have a sequel if you want one.
For sure. Well, look, guys, thank you. I appreciate it, and congrats on the podcast, man. I heard you guys were kicking ass, and it's doing great already. So, congrats. It's awesome.
Man,
thank you, man. Thanks a lot for calling.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
All right, boys.
All right, take care, bro.
Later.
He's a good guy.
What a good dude, huh?
Yeah, I've actually never met him. We've talked on the phone a couple of times. I've never actually sat down with him.
You hear about people and these A-list celebs and stuff like that, and you hear about them, how they are around, how they treat people and stuff, and you hear nothing but good things about The Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you hear. And you could tell right there, what a good dude.
Yeah. And I am genuinely happy for them. It's like when you like people, you want to see them do well. When you don't like people, you want to see them shit the bed.
100%. Central Intelligence, go check that out. What a good movie.
Yeah, I will.
This is UFC Unfiltered with Jim Norton and Matt Serra.
Here's the important thing. I'm physically comfortable because I like my underpants. I mean, honestly, that's to me why this show works. My underpants are comfortable,
And today I am going with the MeUndies. Listen, what I have the other day, I had the boxes on the other day. I even wore briefs. I didn't wear any underwear. I told you, I'm definitely a free baller. I was a free baller. Now, with these MeUndies, I was wearing the boxers the other day. I'm wearing briefs. I can't tell you. The briefs, I'm like, oh no, they're going to be tight, and oh, my ass, my everything, so my package, everything feels so nice.
And I got to be honest, they look good because Matt was showing me, and the package looked very impressive.
I hope that's not going to be on the. I hope that's not going to be on the visual with the podcast. With my ass hanging out.
No. But I'm telling you, it looked really terrific.
Thank you.
Better than it had the first time I saw it. And the thing is, I think every pair of MeUndies is...
Wait, what are we talking? Are we talking about my ass?
Yeah, everything. And the front. I think Matt's stuff's in the front.
Yeah.
It's all made from sustainably sourced modal. It's a fabric that's twice as soft as cotton. And I can tell you, it just feels good on my body. And there's nothing worse than when you have something and your balls don't feel right in it. You got to do the pick and roll scratch.
I hate when they have like the piss hole, the fucking, what do you call it? Where you take your cock out of when those.
Oh, I know, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm enjoying watching you fish for it.
Well, you're fucking the pee hole. But and next thing you know, you're sitting down and your cock's falling out of your thing and. Where am I going with this?
I don't know, but right now I'm enjoying. Like you said, it's the journey, not the destination. I'm
trying to tell you, the MeUndies is a step above, several steps above any underwear I ever had.
You're red right now.
I'm fucking turning red and I'm melting.
Oh my God, you look like beetroot juice.
Fuck, I look like a fucking beetroot. I don't know. I start talking about my cock. I mean, we were talking about queefs earlier. Can we get back to MeUndies, please?
We are on MeUndies. They're comfortable, and that's the most important thing. When you're hearing two men talk about underwear, there's no way for two men to talk about underwear without saying, look, they feel good. That's why you wear them. They're comfortable. They do what they're supposed to do, which is they're a barrier between you and your pants. They hold your balls, or they're supposed to hold your balls, and they're twice as soft as cotton. That's all you want from underwear. Underwear don't do anything magical. They don't sing. When you take your pants off, they don't go, there's no business like show. They just feel good, or they don't. These do. And shipping is free in the U.S. and Canada, and you can save up to $8 a pair with the MeUndies subscription plan. Get the subscription plan or a single pair. Get 20% off your first order when you go to MeUndies.com/UFC. That's MeUndies.com/UFC for 20% off your first order. We really appreciate those guys supporting us, and they sent us them, and they're comfortable. That's all you can say about them. They feel good on your body. That's what you want in underwear.
They got me back to wearing undies. Not just any undies. MeUndies.
Here's the thing with underwear. You don't think about your underwear until they suck. You know, when you think about your underwear, when you're like, wow, it feels like right now, I feel like Conor felt when Nate was choking him. That's how my testicles feel right now. My bag is getting cut off by a piece of my underwear, and I hate it.
You see how you put that? I was trying to, see, this is what I'm talking about with stand-up comedians. Like, you see how you describe things way better. Like, I tried to describe exactly what you were saying, and look what happened.
You did a good job.
I don't think it happened that. I don't know.
It was fun watching you talk about your pee hole and your cock falling out.
Yeah, and then I started sweating. Like I'm fucking, so I started just stripping. I'm like, why am I just getting all sweaty talking about my fucking own underwear?
We like them very much. They're good sponsors of the show, and we do really appreciate the support. So please support those guys back because, again, they're showing faith in us early on. MeUndies.com/UFC. They're goddamn comfortable, and thank you guys for supporting us.
Go get them.
I think the best booker we could have is Dana White. He has the ability to get people on the fucking phone. The Rock does not do radio interviews. CM Punk does not do a lot of radio phoners. And we got both of them on the same show. But that's thanks to Dana picking up the phone, I think, for us.
Second episode, I feel spoiled. I feel, right?
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
I don't know.
These guys.
I don't know. It's all downhill.
Is it all downhill from here? We had Dana. We had the Punk. Oh, man, the Rock. The Punk, I call him.
I guess at this point we should be talking about predictions for Dos Anjos versus Eddie Alvarez and Roy Nelson versus Derek Lewis.
Yes, UFC Fight Night.
My predictions stink. Always, I am wrong.
Who we start? We'll start with the co-main, the Roy Nelson versus Derek Lewis. What do you think about that, man? Personally, I can't go against Roy Nelson, man. I mean, that guy's. He's got a right hand from hell. He's very good in jiu-jitsu, which might come into play in this fight.
But I've never seen him I've never seen Roy do jiu-jitsu. I know he can do it, and I think he did it on The Ultimate Fighter, but like in his fights, he relies so. And I'm certainly not criticizing Roy Nelson. There's nothing worse than a fucking out of shape worm criticizing a professional.
No.
But I mean, to me, it just as an outsider, it almost is like he has fallen into the same thing that I watched Fedor fall into, which is just relying on the one big punch when you have so many other weapons. And it just seems like everybody knows you got to stay away from his right hand. And Mark Hunt put him out. So, you know, once that button gets pushed, is he more likely to get knocked out again?
Well, listen, once you're, you know, physically, once your lights go out, it's never a good thing because you are that much quicker, you know, to go out again. You know, that's your body protecting itself, and when you're taking those hard shots, and that's why guys often, I'm very happy to leave the sport with my chin. You know what I mean? A lot of guys don't do that. They have too many fights where they take that punishment, the lights go out too many times, and then they no longer have a chin. You see guys that used to be, you know, Chuck Liddell, you know, one of the greatest, used to be, you know, you could hit him with a fucking bat back in the day, and then towards the end, you know, it took its toll.
He was beating Rich Franklin in that fight, and didn't he have a broken arm? Like Chuck threw a kick. He didn't throw as many kicks. He, I think, broke his arm with a kick, or he really damaged his arm with a kick, and then as the round is closing out, Franklin throws, I forget whether it was a left or a right, and knocks him out, and that would have been the end of the fight if they had just made it to the end of that round.
Chuck's ability to dish out punishment did not diminish at all. Like if his chin was still intact, I guarantee he'd still be in there because he's a fighter, so he loves it. So I believe if his chin was, you know, still there, he even said that if his chin was able to take it, he'd still be in there because he could definitely still, you know, dish it out. It's just as much, you know, it's just you can't take it as well. But with Roy Nelson, you know, again, he got stopped by Mark Hunt, but his lights weren't out too many times. I mean, besides that, I can't really.
I think that's the only time.
Man.
Am I wrong?
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of. I think it's a little early to, you know, put him in that category of. And it's, you know, having. I'm not saying you're saying he's having a weak chin, but
not at all.
You know, and Mark Hunt is an expert striker, an expert. Derek Lewis is a man. His nickname's the Black Beast.
We double-checked that 4 times.
I double-checked it before. I don't want nobody marching at my academies. Listen to me.
That's the last thing you want to sound like you're just saying for no reason.
What's his name? The Black Beast.
The Black Beast is fighting. That's not his nickname. But, you're both fighters.
That's not his nickname. That's great. But he is, listen, powerful guy. I mean, he just laid out, what's his name? The jiu-jitsu, Gabriel Gonzaga. And Gabriel Gonzaga is another one that is very dangerous with jiu-jitsu, and he's got some decent striking, and he's a big dude. But, wow.
I expect him to go further. When he first came in and he knocked out Crow Cop with that kick, like maybe because Crow Cop looked so unbeatable coming out of Pride, but then when he got knocked out by Gonzaga, I was like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking monster, and he's a good fighter, but it seems like he never kind of got into the top 10.
You know, he's had that thing where he'd win 1 or 2 and then lose 1 or 2, and he had that type of career. Still a very dangerous guy, and whenever you get a guy that big who's very skilled in jiu-jitsu, it could be a problem for a lot of guys. But now I'm calling him the Black Beast every time. But Derek Lewis, he man, the name suits him. He is a beast, and he hits hard. But I think the experience. And the right hand and the grappling, where he can even clinch and maybe tiring him out, even if he doesn't get him down. Take a little of the power away from him by getting the blood, getting into his arms, by fighting off some takedowns and fighting him, putting him up against the cage. And I believe that Roy Nelson's going to end up winning that fight.
And my apologies to Roy Nelson, but I am also picking you. And knowing that I am death when I pick. Any fighter I pick, I apologize to in advance. But I'm
why is that?
I don't know. I have no knack to pick fights. None whatsoever.
No?
If me and you fought and I picked you, I'd win. I am the worst.
That's fucking great. That's great. Well, that makes it more fun. I'll tell you, the main event. Tell me what you think about that. Dos Anjos? I pronounced that correctly?
I don't even know if it's Dos Anjos. I speak English fairly okay.
Yeah, not me, not so much.
Silent J, I say it. If it's a J that we should say, I make it silent.
Dos Anjos. We know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
And versus Eddie Alvarez. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, of course I'm rooting for Dos Anjos because I wanted that Conor fight so badly. I was really disappointed. I really wanted to see him kick Conor. I like him a lot, so I'm picking him over Alvarez.
Now look, he is. Listen.
By the way, that's not an in-depth analysis.
I don't even. What's that?
That was not. That was the shittiest analysis. Boy, am I going to hear that one on Twitter.
What the fuck was that? You kicks and you like him? No, that's fucking great. You like his kick?
Yes.
He's been Dos Anjos has been looking just like a straight up murderer lately. You know, I mean, he's never looked better. He's getting better with each fight. I mean, he looks on top of the world. Having said that, I'm picking Eddie Alvarez for this fight. There's something that you cannot teach, and that's grit. And this guy is tough. He's gritty. He's had 5-round wars before. He's had fights where he's had his eyes shut. He's been battered, and he came back and he won those fights. There's no quitting him. You're gonna have to shoot that guy to stop him. And I believe that he's gonna come in there, and he's gonna look to. It's gonna be an upset. Because I believe, obviously, I think that Dos Anjos is probably the favorite. Is that correct? Did we even know that?
I don't know,
yeah.
actually.
Chris is shaking his head yes. So listen, I'm big for the underdog, but I smell upset. Look at the way Eddie Alvarez fought. Who did he just fight? Pettis. Is that correct? Pettis? Yes, that was Pettis he fought, and that was an amazing fight. He and the way he fought him, he could use that similar game plan. I feel. It's a different fighter versus Dos Anjos. He could get him up against the cage. He could grind him. He could look to take him down. And this guy's got a phenomenal gas tank, just like Dos Anjos does. Mm-hmm. But I just think he's a gritty, tough guy that's underrated, and he's kind of under the radar, almost like the dark horse in the division. And is that an advantage?
Let me ask you as a fighter: is that an advantage when you know that you're the underdog? Does that kind of give you that thing like, all right, well, no one's expecting me to win, so
talking to me,
pressure off?
No, 100%. I mean, me personally, I was better as the challenger than the champion. I mean, I liked when I was going to fight St. Pierre, and everybody said I was going to die. And I was like, literally, they're like, yeah. I'd see my friends, they'd be like, oh, like good luck, and I see they're kind of like almost shaking their head as they're talking to me, like you fucks. But I like being the underdog personally.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like when I fought that, I lived my Rocky movie with that shit. So, but that fires me up. I like saying people like, oh, you think I'm in trouble? Man, this guy's got to fight me. So we'll see what's up. But everybody's different. Some guys get insulted by it. They think they should be the favorite, and whatever. Listen, everybody's different with that.
I don't know Eddie. Do you know him?
I know him. I'm acquaintances with him. A matter of fact, I think it might have been his first fight. I had one of my fighters, one of my guys. Had his first fight, and it was in New Jersey, and I'm like, all right, you're fighting this guy from, we didn't know Eddie from Hole in the Wall, he looked like, he's an in shape guy, but everybody is looking that way, and my guy went in there and blasted him with like a right hand or something, and the guy fucking Alvarez just kind of shook it off, or give a little smirk or whatever, and then just beat the shit out of my guy, and that was the first time I ever met him. So he made quite an impression,
right?
And so right off the bat, I'm like, it's tough. And then I saw his career take off from there, and he just kept, my guy stopped fighting that one of those guys, and and look at him now. Now he's challenging for the belt, and I think that, and again, he's been in 5-round wars before, and he's been losing fights, or he had losing rounds, and he comes back, and there's no quitting this guy. So I think it's going to be an upset. I'm picking Eddie Alvarez.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Dos Anjos, so.
That's exciting.
Congratulations to Eddie Alvarez on your victory.
That's great.
It's weird, man. It's an uncanny knack in the hand. I don't do it on purpose, but I literally almost never pick the winner.
And let's talk about the possible matchups for the winner of either guy. I mean, there's guys like Khabib. Now, dude, I'm going to kill all the names. Khabib, I'm not going to try to how do you pronounce his last name? Nama.
I hope that's a rhetorical question. Khabib, and good luck to you.
Kebab,
yeah, I can't say
tomato. But no, but
by the way, on Twitter, people are like, I can't wait to watch Serra pronounce these names.
Did they say that?
Oh, yeah, a lot of them.
Did they say that?
Yeah, they're really looking forward to you mispronouncing names.
Oh my God, they're on to me. They're on to me that I'm a total moron. But Ferguson, Chiesa, and of course Nate Diaz, who I'm a huge fan of.
I think everyone's a Diaz. You can't not like him.
No, well, the Diaz. Listen, I like guys that are just themselves, like for better or worse. Like guys, like even guys like Bisping, guys that don't care like so much how they're perceived by the masses. Like the Diaz brothers, they're real. They're just fighters to the core.
Right.
They are fighters first, you know, and they wear their hearts on their sleeve, you know, and that's what I like compared to the guys that are just whatever, man, trying to be something they're not, or put on a persona, or just whatever, talking crazy shit. I mean, if you're talking shit and it's coming from the heart, cool, you know. But you know, no, I love the Diaz brothers. But I mean, listen, the winner of this fight, man, any one of these guys that I just mentioned, from Khabib to Ferguson. How about Tony Ferguson? I mean, that guy's a straight up killer, man. That guy's just been on a tear. You familiar with Ferguson?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he was on he won the Ultimate Fighter. What season was that, Chris? You doing the homework on that? He won the Ultimate Fighter, and since then, man, he's very wiry on the floor. He's dangerous extremely dangerous off his back. Hard to get him there. I mean, but very hard to keep a position on him. Dangerous, threatening with submissions and standing up. He's just, man, punches, elbows, knees, kicks. I mean, the guy, and he's got that Terminator mentality. So I like Ferguson a lot. I mean, I like Ferguson a lot. So, you know, the winner of RDA or Eddie Alvarez, man, any one of these guys could be a great matchup.
And people ask about Conor. I don't think he has anything to do with this. Not with Dos Anjos anymore. I don't think that's.
Nah, he's got his hands full with Diaz in that fight. So I don't think we could really talk about that until he gets that second fight with Diaz in, which is a hell of a fucking hurdle.
He's very ballsy to get in there immediately after with Diaz again, because he choked him pretty effectively, and pretty definitively, and for him not to take another fight that might be considered a little easier first is pretty ballsy.
Dana told me, and he said it, you know, also publicly, that the guy's that Conor's obsessed with Nate Diaz now. With that fight.
He is.
He's obsessed with that fight. Fighting at that same weight and everything else. Personally, it's going to be. I mean, listen, you saw what happened when Diaz didn't have a camp, so you know, I think that's going to be a rough fight for him. But hey, man, you know, it's a rough business.
I don't know Conor. I've never interviewed him, but you know, I always root for the guy with a big mouth to get knocked out. But after I saw him lose and his interview that he was doing with ESPN or somebody, I found myself liking him a lot. Like, I like a lot of these guys when I actually hear them do an interview that's just kind of calm. And, like, after, you know, you can tell a lot about a guy by the way he is when he loses. And he was very personable when he lost and very honest. And I was like, man, I really like this guy. Now I kind of want to see him win.
Well, he even says it. Conor McGregor says whether, you know, he's humble in victory or defeat, and he is. When he's won fights, he wasn't being a dick. He was very humble.
He was nicer to Jose Aldo than you would have thought somebody who hated Jose Aldo would have been after he won.
And I don't even think he hates him, to be honest with you. I think that he just sold the hell out of that fight, man. And I think that he's great. He's phenomenal for the sport, and I think he's a very good fighter. I think he's an even better talker. My only problem with Conor would be if you're talking shit to the guy you're fighting, cool. But if you see Diaz there and you're talking shit to his camp that are also made up of fighters, I don't like that, because now you're not fighting that guy, and now you're being disrespectful to a guy like, say, Jake Shields or somebody. It is Jake Shields, actually. I remember talking shit off to him off to the side. It's like, I do that guy. Literally, wait. Now you know the guy can't get his hands on you because they're going to break it up. So now you're not really being real, because you're not saying to this. If you and him are in an elevator, or you and him in a fucking closed room somewhere, you're not saying that shit. You can't, because the old guy will take your fucking. He'll end your career. So that kind of stuff upsets me. It just. I don't respect that as much, but I
think it's more like yelling out the window of your car when you know the doors are locked.
Oh, fuck yeah! Oh no, 100. No, there's no difference. I mean, I watched it either on the embedded or whatever it was when he was attacking those guys' camps, or he's calling for, I don't know, Verdum from a hole in a wall, but the guy pulled out of a fight and he's sitting there saying that the heavyweight champion's a pussy and this and that. Now look, man. I mean, okay, if that's your honest opinion, cool. But is he going to say it if he's this close? That's what I respect. I respect the guy that's going to not change his mind, whether we're arm's distance or you're a football field away with security guards.
Now, do you think is part of him just doing that, though, just kind of getting under everybody's skin, because that makes him fighting Like, is it not really a personal attack on Verdum? Is it like if I'm just kind of aggressive and talking a lot of shit about everybody, then you get a lot of people disliking you who may not be paying attention to you anyway. Like, people who love Fabricio Verdum may go like, well, fuck McGregor. Now I'm going to watch just to watch him get his ass kicked. Like, it's a way of getting an audience involved who might not want to see you fight because they like Verdum and that's the only guy they want to watch.
No, listen, I mean, whether people hate, you don't want people indifferent in the fight.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You want the people to either love you, hate you, but they're going to tune in to watch either you victorious or you getting an ass kicking, but they're tuning in. So, like I said, I don't want to hate on Conor for any of that because, fuck, man, I'm buying. I love it. I love watching his fights, and he's a really good fighter. I enjoy his fights. He's fucking talented as hell. I enjoy 99% of the shit talk, but more so, he's on the stage. He sees the guys off to the thing, and he starts personally attacking guys. The Verdum thing I can understand somewhat. I mean, because the guy pulled out of a fight and he had to save it or whatever. I mean, I can maybe there's some legs to stand on there, but I'm a big believer in, man, say if you got to say what you're feeling if the guy's right in front of you. If not, and if the guy he's definitely not doing it. I saw him talk that shit to Jake Shields that time, and then he goes backstage and he's telling his buddies, you see what I said? And it's like, you little motherfucker, the guy will fucking strangle you. Are you not, like, you're not nuts because you know he's not going to strangle you because he's not going to be able to get his hands on you. So that's my only problem.
So you don't think that he would, like, you think he'd be less likely to say it with a guy like Verdum sitting like as close as you and I are?
I mean, if he has a death wish, but I don't think he'd say it. I don't think he'd say that. No.
Would a fighter actually take a swing at another fighter like that? Like, I'm sure it has happened.
Well, it comes down to being disrespectful. Like, these are fighters you're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's like if I go back to the Jake Shields thing because I remember that just sticks out in my head. And he's off to the side, and he's calling him this, calling him that. Now, hey, dude, that guy, it wouldn't even be that's not a fight, dude. Not only different weight classes, the guy's an expert in jiu-jitsu. That guy will take your fucking limbs off. So, and you're being disrespectful. You're not fighting that guy. Right. Anything you say to Diaz, you're hashing out. You're gonna hash out. You're gonna let it all out in the cage. I don't mind, but man, I had a problem back in the day with Matt Hughes. I'm not going to his camp saying, "Hey, you," unless I'm prepared to fucking have something go on with that guy. So I don't know. I think that's a little unmanly. But
you're right. A favorite one time was saying something about a guy he was going to fight. Like one of his earliest fights, the guy was trying to psych him out and talking shit and getting crazy. And I asked him if it worked because, of course, it would work on me very effectively. And he goes, "Well, no. I mean, we're here to fight. There's nothing to say because we're going to fight. Like that's how you settle it." And to me, obviously, that's a true fighter's attitude. Where for me, I fall for that shit. Somebody gives me the wrong eye contact, I'm convinced that they know how to fight. Like, I'm very easy to punk.
You're very easy to punk.
The fucking worst. I'm not on this podcast because I'm tough. Somebody wrote me on a thing like they expect me to be an expert on UFC. That's not why I was hired.
No,
but
you know what? A lot of guys that are watching have the same questions that you have, and you're a fan. A lot of guys are watching UFC aren't experts, but they're fans. So the questions you have, or a lot of people have. So I think that's very cool that you bring up anything that you think that might be silly or is that a silly question? It's not.
I'll ask anything. I don't give a fuck. I'll ask. Good. Somebody on Twitter said, and it's funny how you look at Twitter, that you should have known when this fight was happening. I think I asked Dan when McGregor or somebody was fighting. Sometimes you do know the answer to a question, but you ask somebody because it's more interesting for them to answer it or for Dana to say it than for me to just brag that I know when Conor's fighting. Hey, I know when the fight is. Gives a shit. Let him answer it.
Oh, man.
So there is sometimes, sometimes you are doing that when you interview somebody. You ask a question that you know they have a story for or that they have an answer for because it's more interesting to hear them say it.
Well, I'm going to learn all that from you. Like I said, man, I mean, maybe with each show that goes on, it's like it's like getting belt tested. Like eventually I'll get some stripes on my belt and I want to just learn as I go. You're like my sensei in this area.
Boy, you could not have picked a worse sensei because I'm all over the place.
Oh, man. No, fuck.
He wrote me a little note.
Yeah,
hold on.
Look at the note.
Let me see the note.
Look at the note. You might as well just
hold on. You guys suck a bag of what?
Up.
Dicks.
Wrap up. This is the end of the show.
All right. We know. We know.
Wow.
We've been talking for a while.
Kick us out the fucking door.
I hate that he wrote on a little yellow post-it, and then he didn't post it. He just holds it up.
He holds it up.
And stick it on the mic.
We come to a fucking halt.
He writes it on a post-it. You've wasted a post-it.
Fuck, man.
So we'll be back on, what day are we coming back? Next Monday. Or is it Tuesday? Tuesday. I should probably know that. I shouldn't ask live. Next Tuesday we'll be on every Tuesday and Thursday. How embarrassing would it be if we were both fired over the weekend?
And where can they find this podcast? Anywhere they find iTunes, no?
You can go to
anywhere
this,
anywhere they find iTunes?
Anywhere they find iTunes? No, it doesn't do it.
I should just let you do all the plugs.
Why?
What am I even saying?
You can go to
This is
iTunes.
going downhill fast.
No, it's perfect.
Is it good?
No.
All right.
No, we're doing good. It's Google Play, and it's iTunes, and where else? Spotify. Oh, yeah, Spotify sent out a nice tweet. So we appreciate that. Anywhere you can get your podcast. Please subscribe and support this, because that lets iTunes know that you're happy, and it helps us, and it keeps Dana, because Dana is very active in this one. We got a bunch of text messages, all supportive, but I don't want to start getting the angry Dana texts. That's what fucking scares me, is I know that anybody who works for UFC has gotten the angry Dana White text. I've only gotten nice ones from him. I don't want the shitty, mean Dana White text. They frighten me.
Did you ever? How do you know they exist?
They have to exist.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. I've been with him since 2001. I never got one of those texts, but I'm happy about it.
All right, so 15 years in the making, so maybe I won't get one. All right, so guys, this is, next Tuesday and Thursday. We're just
fucking babbling at this point.
That's the end of the podcast. Next Monday? No, Tuesday.
Cut that up. Make us look good.
This has been a digital media production. Find your voice.